Hello again, Brian Jennings. This channel is about processing my diseased psychological relationship with Quentin Tarantino. He is a psychic clairvoyant, so am I. I am the Millennial Dragon. Right? I am the reason that he canceled his film, The Movie Critic, last year, and the saga that has unfolded over the last year has engendered me to write a novel. I've written a novelization of my experiences, and so, he's escalated it to a level, that is so disgustingly dangerous, which he can always deny, that I feel that I have no choice but to talk about it every single day, So we're gonna talk about it every day. I constantly live in palpable fear that he's gonna send people to my house to murder me, This is, And so let's just say that I've lost my mind, Which I haven't. I am of sound mind, I know exactly what time it is, Is that better, Quentin? Because if it's true, then you made me lose my mind, Then you made an innocent man go completely insane. That's There's not any other way to interpret that, Beyond denial, Like you can say, oh, he's not my responsibility, But what I'm saying is that he is a dangerous, powerful psychic clairvoyant, perhaps the most powerful in the world. I am the most powerful clairvoyant of the millennial generation. And so it has descended, into this. Sorry if you hear my dog has a cone. She's kind of loud. She knocks shit over all the time. It has descended into this dangerous, evil condition, And so all he can do is cross his arms and go, nuh-uh, And so what I'm saying is that it's time to open our eyes, It's time to see the truth for what it is, And again, it's my fault, It's my fault. I could have been a movie star, Like I could have played the game by his rules, I was more interested in being an asshole, It's my fault. It's not Quentin's fault. It's his show, And so this is why I live in fear, Because I didn't bend to his psychic whim, And now I'm exposed, Like I'm out here in the world as a guy who knows what's occurring, That doesn't, That's not his yes man. And I don't care what he does, I don't care what he does, In April, when his torture really descended into palpable evil, Knowing that he has some 25 minutes of my scripted material, I said, no, you keep all of it. Just go away. I took everything offline, And he has compelled me to sue. He wants me to sue. I didn't want to sue. I don't care. I don't care about money. This has never been about money. But now that we've turned it into money, It's a big number, It's a big fucking number. And so I'm reading through the novel, We're talking about the nature of reality. We're talking about what's occurring, in the universe, How he does what he does, How I do what I do, These things that I'm talking about, Like there's so many people in this world who say, oh, you're profaning something, And so what I'm saying is that I have no master. I profane nothing, I have no order to betray, And it's all in those first few pages of the novel, The 3 essays, And so what I'm saying is that there is in fact a cabal within show business, hovering over me, All in relation to Quentin Tarantino, in terms of the people that I wrote him to help us reconcile, That he has slandered me to, That refused to show me what he said about me, And so that's the Discovery Institute, That's Fish, the band, And perhaps that's Salman Rushdie, the writer. I'm not entirely sure about him, But it's obvious that he's definitely slandered me to Fish, that somehow they're involved, Because I asked them, to show me everything that they received that involves me, That's all, just, when it became clear that he wants me to die, And so the reason that he wants me to die, is that he has created such a condition psychologically in both of our minds, where both of us exist as psychic phantoms in the other's mind, right? All of my thoughts are filtered through his head. All of his thoughts are filtered through my head to some degree, right? And again, he can always deny. He can say, oh, I don't know what he's talking about, right? But what I'm saying is that he engendered this condition, right? That he made the decision to create all of these, right? To create this saga, right? This story, which I have turned into a novel, right? Because he didn't want to, right? Resolve it amicably, right? When I didn't bend to his psychic whim, he said, "Oh, he doesn't know what's occurring, right? So I'm gonna destroy him with this power, right?" And then, right, when I turned it on him at the new year, right? He eventually said, "Oh, no. Everything that I've been saying is bullshit. Like, this is not what I signed up for," right? And that's when I realized, oh, he wants me to blow my brains out. There is no other way. The reason that I say this, right, is that there is no formula where the two of us exist in this capacity for 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, right? And have it be healthy psychologically for anyone involved, right? Therefore, right, the goal was always for me to kill myself. And I'm sure of it. There was probably 50 instances, right, from A to B, right, where he was like, God, I can't wait until this guy just fucking blows his brains out, and then I can be free of him. Right? And then I can have his material for free. Right? And so, we're reading from the novel, we're talking about it, we're talking about the nature of reality. I'm going to pick up where I left off. Making our way through the venue, we emerged from the southern entrance. The ball pit is in full swing. Disco ball, coke horse dancing. They sell drugs, I'm almost certain of it. On the grassy knoll behind the ball pit, a smattering of Wookiees dispersed haphazard. Most holding balloons filled with nitrous oxide behave rashly. To the right, a large group of some 130 strong all surround the Brothers of Brass. 8 guys, 4 white guys on brass, 3 trombones. Why they need 3, I couldn't say. 1 on trumpet, a Hispanic guy double-wielding alto as well as tenor sax, a light-skinned black guy on tuba, a white guy on snare drum, and a Hispanic on bass drum. Nitty-gritty marching band, New Orleans flair. Denver locals. But I see them everywhere, for sure in Chicago. They're plying their wares, boogieing to clam classics, transmuted into Creole Mardi Gras flavor, with a 5-gallon bucket in front, and some 100 people surrounding them all dancing. Persons drift rhythmically in no particular cadence or order to drop bucks in the bucket, which is all but overflowing. As I stand there with my friends, a girl comes up to me wide-eyed. "How are you?" I look through her. She seems intrigued. I am not sure what she seeks in me. I'm good, thanks. How are you? She darts her gaze anywhere. Lost fairy energy, but older. She looks to me once more. I can't tell if you're 18 or 80. I chuckle. Pickles jumps in. Today's Ethan's 34th birthday. She gives me a big hug. Got them good genes. Happy birthday. Thanks. I appreciate that. We release our bond, and she departs as swiftly as she arrived. Pickles corrals. You guys ready? I nod with the others. The Uber Lyft area is over there. She points to the northwest. Let's roll, motherfuckers. Max looks to me as we walk. I hope they play Meat Wand tomorrow. I nod. Yeah, that song's awesome. I never do the dance, but I should. Gotta do it, bro. You're right. They'll play tomorrow. I'll do it. Oh, they're gonna play it. Here at the hotel, Holiday Inn Express, some mile and a half from the venue, we all carouse as we listen to MF Doom. Pickles fills up the balloon from the table to the right of the television. I sit with Max on the bed closest to the door. Another girl comes in. Brunette, narrow eyes, delicate frame, harsh face. Eastern Bloc. Perhaps Russian Jewish heritage. 19th century migrants. She walks to Pickles, who is recording herself inhaling a balloon like a Wookiee influencer, if there is such a thing. Seeing her, she stands wide-eyed and gives her a hug. She sits back down and grabs another balloon. Looking to the girl, she says, "Hey, let me tell you a secret." It goes. The hiss of the tank tells all. She fills up the balloon, hands it to her, and the girl sits on the bed next to me and Max. I hold out my hand. "Ethan, hello." She puts her other hand out while huffing the balloon, shakes and removes her lips from the balloon. "Georgia." We release as I reply. "Like the state?" She nods. "That's cool. Where you from?" Shifty eyes. "Georgia. Guile." "So you're named after the state you're from?" An insincere nod. "I see. She wants to be secretive. She has something to hide." I know Pickles doesn't like telling people her name, so I don't say anything. Though she has told me her name, it's Jessica. But there is a part of me that despises aliases. Hip-hop and drug culture, though I like Doom. There are exceptions. I've seen some rap shows that I've enjoyed very much. And of course, who doesn't love drugs? Only idiots. But, to me, it is a dishonesty to look someone in the eye and say, "I don't want you to know my name." I know we're all allowed our secrets, so I smile and let it go. But that box is checked in my psychic constitution. And I know forever I must always look over my shoulder if she is behind me. Sunrise, golden hour. Patrick and John snore their lamentations, each on one of the double beds. Myself, Pickles, and Max are still awake. I have copious amounts of cocaine in my blood, and now the ketamine has emerged. Pickles chalks out 3 lines, half cocaine, half ketamine. I ask, "What they call this?" She finishes her partitioning as she rolls up a bill and consumes up her right nostril the convocation. Leaning her eyes towards the firmament, she hawks her drug loogie down her throat and up her mucous membrane as she replies and passes the bill. Calvin Klein. I chuckle and ingest the drugs in similar fashion. A deep inhale, and as I reply, "How glamorous, like a luxurious Los Angeles skank." I pass the bill to Max, and he completes this specific iteration of the ritual. Drugs can, and do, yield insight if the mind is directed to proper thinking. LSD, psilocybin, and even, though to a lesser extent, MDMA, all imbue in the heart of the reverential introspection. Desire for wisdom, understanding, and a yearning to be good for goodness' sake. To love more completely. To judge none but the self, first and last. And to place the heart of the initiate at the Ancient of Days. However, as is the case here in Colorado, most who use these drugs regularly have degraded their spiritual antenna by seeking absolution at the bottom of a bottle. That inevitably, as with cocaine and heroin, the high that brings you up mutates you into an ugly leviathan, Gollum from Tolkien, a block of mass. It dampens the spiritual light and enslaves it into the necessity of obligation. And when you need something, when it is required of you to find completion in chemical augmentation, you are enslaved by the world you seek to escape. To require something, anything, from the world is psychic enslavement. Take food, for instance. I have run the gambit psychologically as it pertains to wellness and health, and have experimented every way imaginable. Customarily, being an American jerk, I shove sugar and junk food down my gullet to satiate my depression. But other times I've set my intellect towards mastery of the body, and I have vivid, clear memories of getting high on healthy food, actually garnering more energy from the calories I consume in terms of mass than I would normally eating a Upton Sinclair's nightmare. But eventually, you stop getting high, and you just feel normal. This is true for all of life. Extreme Eastern ascetics, a particular branch of Buddhism, refuse to eat anything that does not naturally release its nutrients upon the world. The apple is never plucked from the tree. The apple falls from the tree, then it is eaten. And it must be true that the mind is the seat of all awareness, and on the highest levels of understanding is the absconding of the flesh, in full participation of the spiritual infinity within and around. Food, drugs, body, soul, mind, brain, each the same, mining all within, to spread the compost on the weeds, to make them rank. You guys, Max says with his head skyward, handing Pickles her bill back. Want to walk to Walmart? I nod. It's close? He nods as Pickles stares at her phone and types something into it. 8 minutes walking, it reads. I want to buy some booze. Let's do it. They start selling at 7. Should be good by the time we arrive. The snores continue unabated as the three of us walk out into the hallway to the elevator. The Colorado sunshine is exceptionally vivifying. Sunglasses required. Pickles is wearing the sunglasses I bought her 2 years ago in New York. Plastic red hearts with the words Crimson Crest over each of the eyes. We are, the three of us, now, in the haze of our drug-addled exhaustion, as close as any people can be to each other. We have watched the sunrise together. We have heard the chimes at midnight. And so our souls are bound, quadrivalent, the strongest tetrahedral latticed chemical bonding. We walk north out of the hotel and turn right on East 33rd Avenue, then immediately left onto Quebec Street. Max looks to me after we cross over Quebec and asks, Are you a professional musician? A head shake. No, I know I should be. It is what I have done the longest. But now I suppose I'm in my midlife crisis. I've been working travel construction, which afforded me comfort, being a vagabond gypsy, but I quit in May. I felt that I was working for money, nothing more. Working my body into exhaustion to make other men wealthy. Nods of understanding. So now I'm writing every day. I see that I am a writer, and I'm trying to make that work. But I'll have to take a job soon, like imminently. Pickles says, What will you do? A shrug as we turn right onto East 36th Avenue. I don't know, wash dishes, whatever I can find. I've been feeling exceptionally alien of late, and playing society's game, donning the mask of social grace, smiling and begging for acceptance to shovel shit for $1 is becoming increasingly difficult. Do you have a day job, Max? A nod as we turn left onto North Sycamore Street. I do sales and marketing for a cannabis and CBD company. I see. That's cool. So is that cold calls? No, fuck no. I have leads and schedule meetings. I spend most of my time each day driving around the greater Seattle area. So each meeting is fairly short. Standard pitch is half hour. Sometimes they want to stretch their legs. But I got it down to a science. We arrive at Walmart and walk in. Max says, I gotta use it. I could too. We turn left upon entering and walk to the bathroom in the front. Inside at the sink, a disgusting tableau of homelessness. Used cheap razor, facial hair or pubes all over the sink. We wash our hands in the other sink. That was funny, Max says as the three of us walk to the alcohol bum life. Yeah, that guy stole that razor for sure. We get to the aisle in the southeastern quadrant of the store, and Max asks, What do you guys want, White Claw? I shrug. Oh, whatever you want, dude. Pickles blurts, Claw! He picks up a 12-pack and 3 extra plastic bags. Outside, smoking cigs in the front, we each open a can and hide them in plastic shopping bags. Drinking White Claws at 8 a.m. in plastic bags outside of Walmart. Our white trash chic is immaculate right now. An older white homeless guy approaches. Kind eyes, likely a willing bum. Not a raving lunatic who can't work. A mild lunatic who would rather not work. He asks, What are you guys up to? Well, Pickles replies, We're drinking on the Walmart stoop right now. He nods. Something you do often? We laugh. You guys don't have any change, do you? I shake my head. Sorry, brother, I have $20 to my name and no change. If I had any, I'd give it to you. Me too. Same here, no change. He nods reluctantly. He had hope. I would help if I could, but now I am destitute. How often have I rode this wave? How long will I suffer in penury? Is his present my future? Am I alone from birth to grave? I see the withered ambitions of his wearied body, and I think on how much I've slept in vehicles throughout my adult life. And despite being surrounded by love and camaraderie in the immediate, I have a palpable fear tomorrows will see me in similar straits. At the table, the roar of expectation is high as can be. A couple of girls emerge. One is wearing a white t-shirt with colloquial writing all over it. She looks to me. Want to sign my shirt? Offer a prediction for the show? I nod. Produce the pin. She hands me a red Sharpie. Marker? I take it and smile. Let me see. Where should I sign? She motions the length and breadth of the shirt. Wherever you want. Okay. Picking a spot on her abdomen right side. How about here, I write. Here's to getting your Reba. Ethan. Oh, this is only my fourth show. I've never gotten one. They'll play it. I prophesy. Nice to meet you both. Have a good show. You too. Thanks for the Hancock. And I'll stop there. So we're reading through the novel. We're talking about the nature of reality, right? I'm taking a moment to drink my wine. The truth is that I am very boisterous, right? That I have a great fire in me, right? And of course, I should have been an actor from the time that I was 12. Right? That this is obvious, right? That I am everything, right? So, what does this have to do with the movie Critic, right? The novel spans from May of 2021 through February of 2025, right? As well as the fact that Trey Anastasio, right? I wrote him to help us reconcile, and Quentin has obviously slandered me to him, right? And it's talked about in greater detail in a different video. Right, and I invite anyone to watch it. It's all there. Right, that Quentin plays these bullshit subtle games, right? And in so doing, right, he swallowed Trey Anastasio as well, right? So, what does he do? You know, like, what am I talking about? That there is no atheistic origin to life. That's what I'm saying, right? Inevitably, there's a line in the sand, right? That you have to decide what you believe the world to be structured by. That there is no, right? So you can say, right? And I've known and met learned people who say this, and it's equally valid intellectually, right? That there is no intellectual origin to life, right? That life was built arbitrarily through a haphazard convocation of elements, which inevitably led to humanity, to man. Right? And so what I'm saying is that's a shallow, hollow intellectual position, right? That is... right? That has no weight, it has no authority, right? And I can show you why that is a logical fallacy, right? That life has a latent intellect within it, diffused within every cubic centimeter of space, right? And so how do I know this, right? That this is the physics of the holographic model, Pribram and Bohm, right? This is not some new age guy saying, oh, meditate and be closer to God, right? Like, this is established reductionist materialistic scientists, right? Espousing a potential for how the world is structured. And what they have to say is that within every cubic centimeter of space, in terms of information, lies the potential for all manifested reality. Right? This is the holographic model, right? And so what I am saying right now is that is true, right? How big is the universe, right? Is it 100 billion light years wide? Is it 1 inch wide? Is irrelevant, right? Like that has no bearing here or there scale reference, right? There is no scale in the universe, right? That all our measurements derive from our ignorance. That's it, right? What I'm saying is that there is this condition, which is reality, right? That there is this thing that we experience, right? And embedded within every single cubic centimeter of that condition, in terms of information, lies the potential for everything that can be manifested within that specific condition. And so diffused throughout that, right, is a non-local conscious field. And so what do I mean when I say that? I mean that when Plato espouses his allegory of the cave, he's referring to things like this, right? That embedded abstractly within all of space, right, that's a nice view, right, is this infinitely nested lattice, geometric, archetypal, abstract lattice, right, which acts as a subatomic, subspatial scaffolding for the manifested world, right, to grow and evolve around, right? And so the conscious field, right, is distributed evenly throughout all of it, right? And it pushes its knowing through the abstraction, right, which is reflected in the material world as a pressure condition, right? So the conscious field, the divine light of deity, pushes its knowing through the subspatial, abstract, geometric origin and the dihedral, right? The angle with which it imposes its divinity upon the divine abstraction, right? Mutates it, or the combination of dihedrals, right, from multiple angles, right? The Sefer Yetzirah, right? There's 6 directions in which the Lord breathed, right? So there's an infinite convocation of potential directions with which the conscious field may impinge upon this infinite subatomic lattice of structure, right? And the specific arrangement of the dihedrals, right, transmutes it, right, and mutates it, engendering electric resistance, right, which ejaculates, right? It's a cosmic ejaculate, which creates a cosmic shadow, right? A material manifested shadow of its divine abstract archetype, right? That this is, I know pornography, I used ejaculate, like how funny, right? But what I'm saying is that it puts pressure upon it and causes it to collapse and mutate out of its static perfection, right? And so as it continues to collapse through the varying dihedral angles, right, imposing the pressure of the divine light upon it, right, eventually the electric resistance becomes so great that it must erupt into the material world as a manifested crepuscular condition. First as light, and then as the pressure continues, it becomes more sophisticated, advanced organic matter, and then inevitably complex cellular structure, and inevitably life, right? Complex cellular life, right? So this is the point, right? This is the other side of the argument, right? And so my point in mentioning all this, like what does this have to do with the movie Critic? Like what are you talking about right now? Is that all instances of clairvoyance, psychic phenomenon, all derive from the mind of man tapping into that non-locality, right? And so if you take this, right? If you take my celestial vision board, right? And you say, okay, all of these things, right? Even the self-portrait, right? That all of these are psychic intellectual relays, right? That it's a rebounding, right, of the hologram, right, that embedded within every cubic centimeter of space, however big it is, doesn't matter, that's irrelevant, right, is the infinite potential, or not infinite, seemingly infinite, is the potential to express all of manifested reality, right? And so they're all all of these things are nested inside of each other, right? And so we make these things, right? I make this thing as well, right? Because our intellect, right, is stifled by being apart, right? Right? That God has all of these nested inside of every cubic centimeter of space, right? God, which is the intellectual principle, which exerts pressure upon all of these, right? Which causes them to manifest into what we see as the measurable universe, right? That's the other argument, right? And so instances of clairvoyance, instances of remote viewing, right? All tap into this knowing, right? Is this what Quentin does, right? When he watches me, when he watches people? No. I suspect no one else does anything of the kind, though I could cite a few people that perhaps come close, right? So we got 5 golden mean spirals, right? Dodeca inside of Icosa, right? A division of 18, 2 nines inside of each other. My point is that these things have nothing to do with New Age bullshit, right? That I mentioned this in another video, that this is intimately connected with chemical geometric structuring, right? That these are all spiritual lenses, right? And when you meditate on them specifically, right, that you liberate your mind out of the confusion of God's omniscience, right? That God has all of these nested inside of his mind constantly in every cubic centimeter of space, right? But it is incumbent upon man to isolate, right? God pushes its knowing through the all and manifests the thing. Man must push his knowing through the thing to experience all, right? And so this is what remote viewers do, right? This is what clairvoyants do, right? That they're looking through a thing and seeing the eternity within it, right? And so Quentin stares through my headshot, closes his eyes in meditation, and tortures me as much or as little as he wants, and has his cabal of sorcerers that does the same thing, right? And so the only question now, right, and I'm going to stop because I've been going for another 30 minutes, is there such a thing as psychic clairvoyance? You know, like, is there such a thing as remote viewing? Right? Is there such a thing as telepathy? Right? And the answer is unequivocally yes. There's nothing else to consider there. This is old world data, right? And I've emailed like all of them, you know, there's like at least half a dozen really famous psychics, right, who have real pedigree, right, that this is not, right? And so what I'm saying is that the mind is the origin of all life, right? And when you understand that, right, this is when you call yourself an adept, right? This is when you call yourself a master, the maestro, right? And so when you understand that, right, you can push your mind, right, through non-locality or through quantum entanglement, right? You can connect your conscious awareness, right, to any other locale, right? And so what do I mean when I say that? I mean that there's carbon inside of your body, right? That there is some however much percentage carbon inside of your brain and your body, right? And so all of these atoms inside of your body have electrons that are orbiting around it, right? That are behaving, right? I don't like the word orbit. That's a little too specific. But you have an atomic structure within your body that is behaving a specific way. But all atomic structure, right, is linked to the non-local conscious field, which is evenly distributed throughout all of space, right? And so instances of telepathy, instances of clairvoyance, right, is the meditation on a locale distinct from your locale, wherein you harmonize the atomic structure of the physical material that resides at the other locale. That's what I'm saying, right? And then you're through the lens of your consciousness, right, which is meditation, right? You bring in the vision, right? What Ralph Waldo Emerson, from some alien shore the visions come, right? That's what's actually occurring, right? This is how Quentin finds me. This is how I find Quentin. This is how anyone can find anyone. Is this a fucking light switch? No, of course not, right? That these are powerful spiritual disciplines which require years of devotion to unlock, right? This is not something that just anyone can do. However, the two of us can do it very well, right? And so it's descended into this disgusting thing, right? And so I leave you, right, with Hamlet. So long! Nay, then let the devil wear black, for I'll have a suit of sables. Oh, heavens! Gone 2 months and not forgotten yet. Why, then there's hope a great man's memory may outlive his life. Half a year? But by a lady he must build churches then. Or else he shall suffer not thinking on with the hobby horse, whose epitaph is for oh, the hobby horse is forgot. God bless. See what's good in your life. Uplift your soul to God. Pray for me. Pray for Quentin. Right? Like, comment, subscribe, share. God bless.